All right, we are going to call Kareem Mathews.
Pocket party. Yeah. When I'm down and feeling low with so much negativity, I listen to Darren got his pocket party. He got his friends as guests and they be really funny. It ain't over till he say, boy, don't hurt nobody. Yeah. They run.
Yeah.
Yes, we are going live. We are live. We are recording. This is Kareem the Dream.
Hey, what's up, Darren?
What's up, man? This could not be any easier. I swear to God. It's like I'm at home. I hit record. If you know what I mean. It's just like, hey, you want to do my podcast? Sure. It's gonna answer a phone. Let's do it.
Well, I was about to say, I answer my phone. I say, what's up, Darren? And we're live.
And we're live. I remember I had this guy on once, and I go, "Isn't this great? This is like a show you do from your home." And he's like, "Feels more like a phone call, but okay."
Because that's what it is.
I know. Exactly. Because I remember back in the day, people would be like, hey, you want to do my podcast? And then, we live in Burbank. And I'm like, yeah. And I didn't realize that, Bob Zaney wanted me to drive all the way down to LAX. And there's like a studio that's right off the exit of HU's Parkway. And you're like dealing with like 405 traffic or, you know what I mean? Like, let me ask you just out the gate, what's the furthest or what's the most, pain you've had doing a podcast as far as like it was not, like if this was the easiest literally answering your phone, what's the hardest you had to do?
I mean, fortunately I haven't had any real weird podcasting experiences. Like most of the time, I mean, because I do Punch Drunk a lot.
Yeah.
And so they're in the studio, you know what I mean? So basically it's been driving to studios, but it's funny because now with the pandemic, and everyone doing, Zoom podcasts and like this we're doing over the phone. Like having a studio is kind of like out of date now. You know what I mean? It's like I actually got to drive to your studio. Like,
I know.
You guys don't have Zoom?
I know. And it's like,
can you call me?
I know. I mean, I guess like the big ones do have the studio still. Like you see like Joe Rogan, he's got the studio in Austin and it does look good. And I've seen some where they do have the studio, but you're right. It's like, if you're not into that level of like,
really add much to it.
I agree. I agree.
In the Zoom podcast,
I know it's like it adds like a little bit, but then not really. It's kind of like
not enough to have your guests fly all the way to Austin.
I know exactly. I know, but I guess if you got those Joe Rogan numbers, they'll do whatever. Like they're like, yeah, like if Joe Rogan was like, Kareem, I've been hearing a lot of good things. I'd love to have you on like October 3rd, like they said it way down the road. You might be like,
Joe, can you call me?
Get like Darren does. I like how Darren Carter just calls me, and
it's a lot easier, Joe. I don't have to get dressed off the airport.
I know. It's called the Boxers Podcast. Oh, you guys talk about boxing? No, we literally sit in our boxers on a phone.
And I'm literally going to give you the same content, Joe, I promise.
I know. I'm not making any wacky facial expressions that need to be on camera in your face.
I'm not funnier live, Joe, I promise you.
Yeah, like a buddy of mine, he just did a podcast, and he's like, and I listened to like 15 minutes. They released like a 15-minute little chunk of it, and it was really good. And then he goes, hey, you want to hear the full... I go, yeah, and I looked it up, and it was on Spotify. I'm like, perfect. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And he goes, he DM'd me. He goes, if you want the secret link, I can send you the Patreon link so you can watch it. And I'm like,
I already heard it.
Exactly. I don't need to watch. I'm more into like listening as I'm driving or doing other things. I don't need to sit there in front of my computer. I mean, that's why I love when things are on YouTube. Like I put this podcast on YouTube, but it's like I always just imagine people like doing other things, listening to it in the background, or maybe, as opposed to like, I must stare at my screen for 2 hours and 20 minutes. And then he wrote back, yeah, it's funny. Even my mother didn't want the Patreon link. She's like, I've already listened to it twice. Like, I don't need to watch it now.
I've seen your face growing up.
Exactly, dude. Like, yeah, yeah.
It's crazy though, because radio is really making a comeback. Like people are enjoying that medium. I won't say more, but like just as much, I would say, as TV and watching stuff on your phone. Like TV had more killed radio for a while. Back in the 40s and 50s, radio was the thing. Like people listened to programs on the radio. Like, it was like it was like watching TV, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
now it's actually making a comeback. Because like you said, you'd rather listen to it in your car than
Yeah, let me ask you,
sitting
when
in
you
front
say
of
radio, do you mean you mean actual radio, or do you mean like taking in
well,
entertainment? Yeah.
audio content,
That's
audio
right.
content. And it's,
Absolutely.
it's funny. It's funny that you said that because I still say radio, but like it's not actually the radio anymore. It's like just listening to things because it's so many different. Like you said, Spotify. It's so many different places that you can get audio content now. But like on because I listen to sports on the radio a lot. Like when I'm in my car, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like so I've been listening to the Dodgers on the radio since I was a kid. And when they do like their little promotional whatever introduction, for the longest time they used to be on the Dodgers radio network, but now they say the Dodgers audio network
Oh, interesting.
because they're realizing like, okay, people aren't just listening on the radio anymore, but they're listening. So it's still audio, but we can't say radio because again, like all these different mediums that you can listen to audio content on now. And I thought that was crazy that they actually made that change. They're like, now this is the Dodgers audio network. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like Radio Shack should be called Audio Shack. Like
They may be able to make a comeback like
yeah,
that.
and we're back. Audio
That's
Shack.
Audio Shack.
Yeah.
We got Spotify here.
Exactly. We have all your audio needs. See, that would actually
Right.
would work. We got
No, it
headphones.
would.
And,
Right.
maybe we should go half on a
Earbuds.
business. Yeah, yeah. You're right, because I was reading this book by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V.
Oh yeah, that's who I got that from.
Oh, real? Oh, he's great, right? Isn't he great? Like
Yeah, he was the one that told me about that talked about that in his videos about how radio was back in the day and how it's making a comeback. I literally got that from him.
See, it's funny you said that. You said he was talking to me, which I feel that's what there's that connection with audio video does too, but audio. I said the same thing. I go, yeah, so and so was telling me, and then I realized, oh wait, no, I heard that on a
That's how I had to
podcast.
catch myself.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
right.
but I do it too, though. That's what I'm saying. I notice it because I do it too. Like I'll tell my wife something. Hey, so you know what so and so said that, and I act like they told me that because they do tell you because it's in your ears. But it's like
And you're only listening to them. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like you're watching a bunch of people. Like literally, they're talking in your ear. Like,
and this is
like
yeah.
me and you.
Yeah, and for the people listening, it's don't you feel this way sometimes? Because I've done this where I'm listening to a podcast and I try to do it when I'm solo, like in a car or you know what I mean, like on a bike or walking or something. But occasionally somebody will interrupt me, and in my mind, occasionally, especially if I know the person might be wasting my time, I'm thinking in the back of my mind like, are they going to be more interesting than this podcast? Because I can just easily hit play. I don't want to, with the real person in real life, you're like, how can I fast forward to the good part? Like,
Right. No, that's
that's
that's very true. I mean, it's crazy because like in one sense, audio is coming back, but then in the other sense, like we're getting away from talking to each other. Like now,
Yeah.
when the phone rings, you're like,
I know.
text me.
I know. It's you're right, and it's funny. Like in real life, I do catch myself. I had a conversation yesterday with a stranger, which was in
Weird.
yeah, it was weird. It was shout out to the stranger if you're listening. It actually turned out to be good, but it was a little bit weird. We were we're up at the ranch right now, and we'll be back in LA by the time this comes out. But we were up here for like the last little hurrah before school starts. And see, I usually call it the farm, but I call it the ranch to sound a little bit, we're at the ranch.
A little bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Ranch dressing. You never hear about farm dressing.
Right.
Ranch, farm. Although there is a farmer salad. I'd like the farmer salad with the ranch dressing.
And a farmer's market.
Exactly. Farmer's market.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, there's a ranch market too. Fuck.
Yeah. How about a farmer's tan? Yeah. Oh, and then the truck, they call it the ranch. You got isn't there like a ranch truck, like the Ford Ranch, King Ranch?
Is it? I don't know. It sounds right though.
I remember seeing it when I was in Texas, and I thought, man, that looks like a cool ass truck. But then again, it's open spaces. It's like the Ford Ranch truck. And then you think about
right. You try to push that on the 405. You're like, fuck.
I know.
I need a Prius.
Or you try to like a Prius, exactly. Or you just try to go in your building, like you try to go to the underground parking, like it's like it's like 6'6" or whatever, like the clearance.
Oh, right.
There's a lot of these parking.
You're scraping the top and shit.
Yeah. King Ranch. I'm scraping my top. I should have left this truck at the ranch or at the farm, where there's open air,
where there's more space.
Yeah, like my buddy came to see me the other night, and he has a truck, and he also has a Prius. And I go, which vehicle are you? Are you in the Prius? Because he's like, yes. I go, perfect. There's a parking spot for you. I'm saving because I knew his Prius could fit, but the King Ranch, I had no idea.
Right? No, yeah, that's crazy. Those trucks are great when you need it for like farming stuff or construction stuff, but like for practical use, at least in LA, it's like, yo.
Yeah, I know. I know. I used to have those fantasies back in the day, back in the 90s. I'm like, if I book another national commercial, I'm going to get a Ford truck. And then the reality, because I've rented it a couple times on the road, and I'm like, yeah, it looks better, but or I don't mind being a passenger in one, but like as far as like what you said, like
for daily use, yeah. Again, I guess especially in LA, because there are probably some people on farms like now, like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
I use mine all day. I load my motorcycle, my boat. Exactly.
I'm trying to get a bigger truck.
I know. Yeah, we're talking about comedians going to gigs and looking for parking.
Right, and audition. Shit.
Yeah, exactly. I got all my notebooks in the back. You never know which set I'm going to do with my King Ranch. How did we get off on this tangent? Okay, so I was I was in public the other day, and usually what I do, a conversation with a stranger. So I usually at the farm here, I'll go into town where they have like Wi-Fi, right? Like not even just good Wi-Fi, just Wi-Fi. So we go to the local Starbucks. Yeah, exactly. Right. I take my son and I, which is, hey, listen, man, during the pandemic, I used to have to be in the parking lot in my car uploading this stuff like in front of because they wouldn't let you in. And it's like, dang it. So finally, they got the AC blowing. You can walk into the Starbucks, have a cup of coffee, and upload. And if something takes an hour and 20, it doesn't bother you as much because you're like, well, at least I'm comfortable. When you're in your car and the sun's beating down on you and you're just, good. And then you start questioning, like, is this even funny? Like, is this even good?
Why am I even worth it?
I know. Maybe I should just wait till I go to LA. But it'll take
Does it have to be out today?
Exactly. I know. Yeah.
How time sensitive is this content?
Exactly. So usually when we go, I usually just try to put my back against the wall and kind of face the rest of the restaurant and kind of upload and be private. But this time the tables were already taken, so we had to kind of be in the middle of the Starbucks. And then, sure enough, as I'm filling in the information on YouTube, like the title, the description, I overheard this guy about 4 or 5 times was like, "Excuse me. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me."
Like, is he fucking talking to me?
I know. I was like, dude. So I turn around and he's like, "Hi, I don't mean to bother you, but I just curious. Are you guys? Are you uploading to YouTube? Are you a YouTuber?" That's what he said.
Wow, really? So how close was he? Like, I'm like, yeah, but how did you notice?
He might have been about 10 feet away, but I don't know. Like,
you were doing it on your phone?
No, I did it on my laptop, my MacBook.
Oh, okay.
So and I got
a little bit.
I got a 56-inch display. So no, I'm just kidding.
You know what, Darren? I have a 56-inch. Forget it.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I want to be noticed.
This is a PG show.
Yeah, I got to promote my YouTube channel. I just happened to bring in my son's helping me with some movers and stuff to bring it in. We have it on a roller.
That's hilarious.
How'd you guys get it there? In my Ford Ranch.
This will never fit in a Prius.
That's right. I drive around and upload content, get myself some more eyeballs.
But I don't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I usually put my back against the wall with my giant flat screen. What's on the other side of that flat screen? My new content. It's like,
fucking hilarious.
So this guy was asking me questions, and I was all, and at first I was, kind of answering, but I didn't know where he was coming from. I didn't know if he was like, like, you can't do that here. Or what kind of content? I didn't know what he wanted, but I realized he was just curious, friendly, and probably just killing time because it was 108 degrees or something. So he's just like posted up in the coffee shop with his friend, some lady, and maybe his girlfriend. I don't know their relationship, but staring
at other people's monitors.
Yeah, and maybe we look friendly because I noticed that there was only one girl that was next to him and she had like headphones and a mask, almost like block me out. I'm in my own world,
Right.
And here we
Like,
walk in.
talk to me, please.
Exactly. So we walk in and my son and I, and so I was telling him all about it. I was telling him about YouTube and this and that. And it was interesting. It reminded me of the comedy days because he was asking questions like, when did you start? Like, what, all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
I did notice their eyes lit up a lot more when I told them I was a comic, a comedian, a stand-up, And then they're like, oh. And then like the lady, I heard her tell her, he's been on the Tonight Show, which is kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, and then it kind of, I went to the car and I gave him, this is something I do. I have a couple of cards that have my Instagram and my YouTube channel and my podcast. And so I gave him a couple of cards, a couple of stickers, and hopefully they'll subscribe, But it was interesting. It was about a 12-minute to 15-minute conversation, and there was that moment of like where you're right, it's like a stranger's popping my bubble and wanting to talk to me, like, oh, what do they want? That kind of thing.
Right. You should have made them subscribe right there after all that.
I know, dude. I know.
I'd have been like, hey, pull your YouTube up.
Exactly. Guys, how you like the show so far? Pretty good, right? Kind of weird that I'm out here in the country with the chair next to me, but anyways, if you like this show and you want to help out, go to Cameo. I do birthday shout-outs, anniversary shout-outs, or if you just want to do a donation, go to DarrenCarter.com, PayPal, or Venmo at Darren Carter Comic. Now let's get back to the show. The lady's like, what? Pull my tube top down? What the hell? No, YouTube up.
I just gave you 15 minutes of my time. You're going to give me 2 minutes of yours now.
Subscribe and click that notification bell, please.
Please do it.
I know, right? I was like, yeah, it's funny too, because that day I was uploading not even a stand-up clip. It was so we went to the OC Fair, and that's actually becoming a pretty popular video. Like people are checking it out. It's like and I basically like cut it up into little pieces. And the section that I was uploading that day was a man making cinnamon rolls, which it doesn't sound like a big seller when you're, So what are you uploading? I'm showing how cinnamon rolls are being made at the OC Fair. I mean, that just sounds boring.
Right.
But if they look at it, it's like not boring, but it just sounds
interesting.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it, you're like, because I have gotten better at like cross dissolving and the transitions and making the story move along and adding the right music bed, and I don't know, it's definitely
and using the correct terminology.
Yes, exactly. Because I even Googled before, like I go on this thing called TubeBuddy because you want to know what the keywords are and what's going to get people interested. Like if you just write like cinnamon rolls, I mean that might not be. So then I learned, you got to write like how they make cinnamon rolls at the OC Fair 2021, those kind of things.
Right. Oh no, I was talking about the technology on how to create stuff. You're like, you got to use the right music bed and using the proper transitions, and I was like, I just upload.
Yeah. Well, you see, you watch. If you keep doing it, a year from now, you're going to look back and be like, that was better that I did this.
That's what he meant.
Oh, I know. And then my son has a video. I want to give a shout out to Os the Bass Boss. Os the Bass Boss. I always put him in the links. Bass. So my son, 13-year-old musician, he started his YouTube channel a year ago, and he puts up music clips and, piano and bass and guitar, and super creative with his editing and his wigs and characters. And Kareem, you know how hard it is to get views on YouTube, right? This kid has a video, as of this recording, has 23,000 views, and it's only been up a month. It's been up a month. It was like 10,000 views, and then yesterday it was 20,000 views, and I'm like, and then this morning,
doubled?
Dude, it doubled in about 2 weeks, I think, or a week, or so. I don't know, but it's
wow.
Yeah,
great.
Overnight, it got, I think, 2,500 overnight. I mean, it's.
Is it a song?
It is a 1 minute. It's a 1 minute. Yeah, it is a song. It's 1 minute video, and it's called "How to Annoy Your Friends in 5 Notes." I think is what it's called. How to Annoy Your Friends in 5 Notes. And so basically, it just shows this finger going ding, and he puts the what key it is, and then he puts ding ding, and then he's C, F sharp, D, or whatever it is, and then at the end he puts it all together, and you realize that he's playing that Rick Astley song, the one that Rick rolls everyone. I think it's Never Gonna Give You Up. So
Oh,
so
right.
the, so I think what makes it
Clever.
a hit is like ding ding, and then at the end he goes put it all together, and then do 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 do, and then
Right,
the text on
right,
the screen says you just got rickrolled or whatever. And so
right.
yeah, apparently like around the world people are watching because as we're sleeping, people are viewing it, and also that was. It made the news yesterday that Rick Astley, that "Never Gonna Give You Up," that Rickroll song, it got 1 billion views on YouTube. So that's kind of like out.
I did see that. It's
Yeah,
only like 4 songs. It became like the 4th or 5th song or some shit like that
I think
to get
so.
to get 1 billion views.
Yeah, so it's like,
Yeah,
yep,
it's a good tie-in.
it's a good time. He did this a month ago. I mean, he's been, yeah, he's been.
So he beat that dude.
Oh,
He was like, my video was out before you got to 1 billion, because I feel like when people are like
oh,
searching that billion views, you know what I mean?
oh
Like
yeah,
they kind of run into his. You
oh
know
yeah,
what I
maybe
mean?
right, maybe yeah. It's funny, and then dude, you know what we did yesterday? Okay, so like I want to say last December, he my son's been, ever since his voice changed, like he's been practicing his low notes and how low can he go and bass. And I mean, it's kind of annoying hearing him practice all the time because, imagine a
Right,
prepubescent or a pubescent teenager just constantly going,
right. That's hilarious. When did his voice change?
about a year ago, I think. And so he wants to see, how low can I sing, and how high. Oh, he also goes, how high can he sing? So he does a lot of stuff where he's going, like that, and there's like this whole, he's constantly doing that, and you're like, dude. But when he puts it together with music, it actually is pretty cool. Like he does that great Brian Johnson AC/DC impression that I uploaded. It's actually on the OC Fair video. We do it towards the end, but it's like, dude, you're pretty good at that. And so if his challenge, I want to say it was in December, he's like, when I reach 100 subscribers, I'm going to have a low note challenge with Tim Storms. And I guess Tim Storms is a guy. I think I have these names right. Or maybe it's Tom Storms. I don't know. It's one of those guys. Maybe it's Tim Storms. And he has like the lowest voice in the world. So Austin wrote a whole sketch and a script and he put it together and he had me play Tim Storms' brother, his brother. So he's like, well, I'm Tom Storms and I'm a whatever. And so we did like this whole sketch and Austin does his songs but apparently somebody saw it and yesterday, these guys that do reaction videos, and they dedicated almost a whole minute to reacting to Austin and me. It was actually it was pretty funny because they were very gentle about it. I don't even know where they're from, like the Netherlands or something, somewhere overseas. And they're like, who do you think this guy, do you think that's his father? And then the other guy goes, maybe that's really Tom Storms' brother. I mean, they were just cracking on us. It was funny though. It was good natured, and it was like, oh my god, I was getting a little like sweaty and embarrassed, but I was like, this is actually pretty funny.
It's crazy that they picked you guys. You know what I mean? And they're from the Netherlands.
Yeah, or wherever they're from, Holland. I don't know where they're from. Is that the same thing?
Somewhere overseas, though.
Yeah, somewhere that was. Yeah, exactly. They had accents. They're from somewhere else.
Right. That's funny.
It was hilarious. I was like, oh my gosh. Like they actually used my face for the thumbnail, which is like, oh, okay. That's interesting.
Subscribe, please.
Subscribe. I know. I keep joking with Austin, because I know how hard this stuff is. My videos, I put them up. I'm like, and so I go, hey son, if you get 20,000 views, I'll bless you with one single tweet. As if that's going to make a difference,
Right.
Even the day my wife goes, you blessed him with that tweet and it didn't even get a like or a retweet. I go, yeah, because people saw it and they instantly ran over and, started viewing Austin's content.
That's hilarious. But see, that's funny that you said that, because in kids' mind, because you like, I know how hard this is. But one of the things about Innocence is you don't know how hard it is,
dude.
And you don't care. Like,
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
To you, it's not hard. Like,
I know, exactly.
That's kind of how we were when we first started with comedy. You know what I mean?
I know.
It wasn't hard. We were gonna do it, and we were gonna be famous. Like, fuck you guys.
Exactly. You see those pie graphs? These are the people that make it. There's a very small. Well, that's good. That's where I'll be. I'll be in that little sliver of that pie graph.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's where I'll be.
Yeah, and I actually thought that too when I booked that national commercial on my third audition. I booked a Miller Beer commercial on the third audition. I booked it, and I remember like,
was it your third audition?
Third audition. I remember I lived in San Diego. I didn't even live in LA. I lived in San Diego. I'm driving home on the 405, looking at myself in the rearview mirror, like, wow, I just happen to have that look. I guess like my whole life I was ridiculed and made fun of for having bright red hair and a skinny head. But
And
apparently,
now look.
now look at me. Apparently, it works for television. I was like,
Right. Hilarious. You just gassing yourself up.
I know. I was like, oh wow, this is great. And, that was the first and last national commercial. I haven't even booked one in this millennium. I've not booked one since the '90s. Like, it's crazy. I haven't really gone out though, to be fair.
Right. Yeah, and again, that game has changed. The commercial game is not the same, and the pandemic really changed it. Like, they already weren't shooting as many commercials because people don't really watch commercials like that anymore. Like you were saying earlier, they want to fast forward to the good part.
Yeah, they want to skip ad. They want to
Right.
skip,
Right. So the marketing has to be done differently now. Like, you have to be more clever with the marketing and more like social media marketing. Like, that's where you can catch people's attention.
Yeah. There was I'm thinking, was it Nike? Was it McDonald's? Was it both? I remember seeing you in some big commercials.
Oh yeah, actually, I've done both of those. I've done a Nike one and a McDonald's, and then I had that one for Geico with Tiki Barber.
Wow.
Like, that was my most recent big one. But yeah, that's that again, that game has changed. Like, I remember when I first got into commercials, people used to be like, "Oh man, this game sucks now. Back when we were doing it, you booked a national commercial and you could fucking buy a house." And I'm like, yeah, because it was only 3 networks back then. You know what I mean?
I know.
But I was loving it, and now I'm looking at it like, oh, now it's changing. Like, it's not that many commercials anymore. And I know the new kids getting in. They're like, so what? I just booked one. Fuck you, old man.
I know, right? Because I tell my kid, he's like, they're like, like he'll say something, and I'm like, they're like, how come your video only has like 30 views? And I'm like, I don't know. There's no, and they hate this phrase because I say it over and over. There's no, but I feel it. I go, there's no rhyme or reason.
Right.
I feel like that old man. There's no rhyme or reason. I mean, some of my video views, I have 600, and some have like 100, and some have like 40, and I'm like, it just stuck at 40, and I'm like, I don't know. And then like, I remember one day I was just looking, like one of the videos was stuck like at 35, like for 2 days, like nobody was looking at it. I'm like, I don't get it. And I go, maybe there's
is this shit really counting? Let me refresh. Let me go get a new computer.
Exactly. I actually said that to my son. I go, maybe there's a glitch or something. And he's like, no, Dad, there's no glitch. It's just
my count's moving.
I know. Meanwhile, he's got 18,000, 19,000, 20,000, 23,000.
No, Dad, there's no glitch.
I know. I mean, one time he like roasted me. He didn't even realize he was roasting me. Okay, so I did like an exceptionally long I can't even say without laughing. I did an exceptionally long podcast. It might have been like an hour and 20 minutes, and I was going to put it all on YouTube, but I didn't know. I was like, so like that very last, I'm thinking, should I let the video end just like abruptly, or should I have it fade to black? I'm thinking I'm having a father-son bonding moment because he's great at editing, and I go, do you think I should have this hour and 20-minute video just end, or should I have it fade to black? And he goes, it doesn't matter, Dad. No one's going to watch that. No one's going to get that far into your video. I was like,
wow.
I was like, he's probably right. They probably watched about, who knows?
That's hilarious. He said, it doesn't matter, Dad. No one's going to be watching that shit at hour and 20
minutes. I liked how it faded to black. Let me applaud Darren.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me subscribe now.
Oh, my God.
I wasn't going to subscribe until that 120th minute when it faded to black.
That's what put me over the top.
That was the moment I realized this guy's crazy.
The way he faded to black like Scorsese. This guy, he's like,
Tarantino couldn't come up with those shit like
oh, I know. Oh, this is true too. Okay, so my wife was telling him one time, she's like, Austin, practice. You need to practice. Practice makes perfect. And he's like, no, it doesn't. Editing does. And
oh, that's hilarious. Yo.
That's another thing, right?
No, it doesn't. Editing does.
Editing makes perfect. And meanwhile, I know. And I'm like, no, son, you got to practice. He's like, says the guy that has 35 views.
Right. No, you got to practice.
Dad, you got to edit, Dad. I know.
Oh,
it's funny seeing things from a young person's eyes, though. Like,
the innocence of youth.
I know, right? Like, they made me laugh. Him and my wife, I guess they had a conversation about me, and they were on their walk together. And then they were like, this is back when I was posting like a lot of push-up videos and stuff. And they were like, Dad, you should incorporate more comedy on your channel, more comedy. They're like, imagine if you went to see the Beatles, and then after the concert, people, and they go to Paul McCartney's channel, and he's just doing like crunches and sit-ups and jumping jacks. And
Oh, that's funny.
I'm
That's
like,
true though.
I know. I was like, you know what? You're right. So I incorporated more comedy, but I still want to do the fitness thing because I'm telling you, and if
You're the next Richard Simmons.
Like, so, oh, really? I was going to say like Mike Tyson or somebody. I'm the next Joe Rogan, at least somebody. Like the next Richard. Sweating to the oldies. Hey guys. Yeah. Well, if there's one thing, see why I have Kareem on this podcast? He's freaking quick. If there's one thing I've learned during this pandemic is like work on what you can control. And what I know I can control, at least it's in my mind, is 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups daily. That's something I can at least, boom, you know what I mean? I can't control a lot of stuff. And then you realize like once you get that good forming habit, you're just like, it makes you just want to, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It makes you just want to do it again. And then there's days I don't want to do it, but I'm like, it's only 50. Just do it. And then I do it. And I'm like, yeah. And also posting. You guys, I'm telling you, if you do it and you post it, it makes you, what's the word I'm looking for? Responsible, socially responsible, or whatever that thing is.
Right. No, and it's like what you were saying. Once you start the habit, like when you miss it, you feel bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just starts to get into your mind. Like, fuck, I know I should have worked out today. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like sometimes I need that kind of like motivation.
Yeah, I write it down. I write the date. I write July 31st or whatever, and then I'll put the 50 and then circle it, post it. If I miss a day, I'll put an X. And I always tell myself, okay,
right.
I don't mind like. I don't want to ever let it get more than 3 X's in a row because this isn't bowling. This is like like 1 X is okay. Maybe you had to travel that day. Maybe something crazy. Whatever. I don't mind 1 X. 2 X's. 3 X's. That's a no. After that, I cannot. You know what I mean. Even if I
got write it in a calendar, or
I write it down on a. So far I've been using like these yellow legal pads. For some reason, I just like the way it looks. The yellow pad's kind of bright, so it brightens up the room, and it's a constant reminder. Every time I see that yellow legal pad, I'm like, ooh, there it is.
Right.
And I have fun with it. After I post it, I put it on like Insta stories, and you can add music and a little GIF of there's this cartoon of this guy doing sit-ups, and then I'll add like a song of the day. I'll pick a song, either something current, or I'll go to like Bee Gees or whatever.
Right. No, it's funny because I put an X when I do work out because like it's kind of the opposite of how you do it, but I like seeing more X's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that looks good too.
Because hopefully you're not having any X's. You know what I mean? If you're not missing, then you don't have anything to write. You know what I mean?
I know.
So I like doing it like when I do work out. So like when it's not an X, it's like, oh fuck, I didn't work out that day. You know what I mean? But like when you see all these X's, actually it's stars, but they look like X's. And it's like, yeah, man, I did. And like my thing is for every month, I try to have at least 20 X's.
Oh, that's good. That's
so that
good.
means like 10 days. You know what I mean? Like that's basically working out 2 out of every 3 days.
Yeah, that's like really good.
The months I don't get 20, I'm like, fuck. But actually, since the pandemic started, it's only been 2 months, and my low was 19.
Wow. See, you're going to be the next Richard Simmons.
I know I'm the next Billy Blank.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I'm Tybo, and I'm the next Billy Blanks. I know. Hey, so how was the show last night? So there's a brand new comedy club, guys. It's in Bellflower, California. And
oh yeah.
If you want to see what it looks like, go to my YouTube channel. I did a live vlog of it. We did a whole walkthrough. It's like an 8-minute video. You'll check it out. It's beautiful, beautiful room. Tell me a little bit about it.
The stand-up comedy club. I saw your vlog. I didn't see the whole thing though, because I didn't watch to the 8-minute point when you faded to black. So I don't know. Like you may have covered a lot of this that I'm about to say, but it's crazy because I had been there before. I actually went there one of the nights that you were there.
Yep.
And I mean, the show was going on, so I got to see the club, but not really see it. And then last night, like I was in the show. So I got to see the club, but didn't get to really see it. But then after the show, like the owner and his wife came up, and it was just like crazy. Like they gave us kind of like a history of the whole thing. And I was like, wow, like they really put a lot of effort into putting that club together. Like every detail is so intricate. But again, sometimes you miss that, you know what I mean, when you're like performing, you're like not really, you can't really focus on it. But like every booth is dedicated to a comic.
Yeah.
Like a comedy great, you know what I mean? Like they have the Richard Pryor booth, the Louis Anderson booth, Robin Williams booth, you know what I mean? And then like they have pictures of each comic and up in that booth, and I guess like the family members all approve each booth, you know, like it's not like they just decided to do this, like they got the blessing of all. I mean,
yeah, those booths are super comfortable. I sat in the Richard Pryor booth. It's very comfortable. You feel like you're in a Las Vegas lounge. And like you said, there's plaques and quotes and different pictures and photos of the celebrities. And I thought it was interesting that they chose Phyllis Diller. You don't really hear Phyllis Diller getting a lot of shout outs in the comedy world, you know? And I thought that was really cool. Like, wow, Phyllis Diller.
Right. Well, for the female comics, like she's one of the OGs, you know what I mean? For female comics. So yeah, no. You could tell they knew the history too, you know what I mean? Because some people would try to do something like that and they just, pick random people that, are just popular. But they really had like the depth and history of comedy. Like, it's you feel it's set up so well. Like the stage, like how the stage sets out with the crowd. Like there's not these weird angles where like half the crowd is to your left and then half the crowd is to your right. Like, I don't know, the way you feel really comfortable on that stage, and then hearing them talk about it afterward, it was like that's what they were trying to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, because comedy had gotten to the point where it was working so well that people thought it could just happen anywhere.
Yeah.
So like, let's have comedy at the bowling alley.
I know.
Let's have comedy at the, you know what I mean? It's like these guys, this couple, they really took like time to make it a comedy. And I think that's what he said. He was like, he wanted it to be a comedy club, not just somewhere that had comedy.
I love that. I love it. He calls it I think he kept referring to it as the ultimate comedy experience.
Right.
Yeah, he goes like BMW, the ultimate driving experience. He goes, I want this to be the ultimate comedy experience. And he's right, because when I got into it, there was a lot of venues that I'd played that had like a disco ball hanging from the ceiling because it used to be a former nightclub or or you ever done a show and you're like, something's weird about this. What is it? And then about the audience, and you realize like, oh, there's karaoke after the show, and these people all want to do their favorite.
They're just here to perform.
Yeah, they want to perform. That's why I don't like doing comedy shows on Halloween either, because people, they, especially when they wear their costumes, they're like, we're wacky, we're weird. And it's like, no,
we're here for attention.
Yeah, it's like,
Right. And it's crazy. His wife said it took him 4 years to build that place.
Wow.
I know, like that's dedication. Like they're fully invested. You know what I mean? Like this is not the shit.
It didn't seem like, it wasn't like some cookie cutter. Business decision. Yeah.
Right. And if you take 4 years to build something, you're going to make sure it works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to just be like after a few months, oh man, fuck this place. Like they're going to really put the effort into making that place go, which is, another great thing. And it was crazy because, it's the stand-up comedy club. That's the same guy that used to have that stand-up magazine.
Yeah. Which I thought was a little behind the times. I was really happy that because he broke out the magazine. I'm like, wow, magazines aren't really happening right now. But I thought that's so cool that this, that they would have a magazine and put comedians on the cover and try to
and dedicated to comedy. And I remember when Miles was on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I remember that episode or that volume or whatever. So because he has pictures of those on the wall in the club, and I was like, oh, I do remember this. So yeah, it was really cool, man, just to have someone that's just like all in with stand up, owning a club, and being about the comics. Because we all know that they're comedy club owners, that the comics are not their main.
Exactly.
They're not worried about the comics first and foremost. They're worried about their bottom line. How much of these drinks and how many of these drinks are you gonna buy?
I know. Gosh, I hear about that all the time. There's this one group I'm on Facebook just to kind of keep my toes in the water with that, and I think it's called like the LA Comedy. what's it called? The LA Comedy Group or the LA Comedy
The LA
Scene?
Comedy Scene.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
okay, yeah.
And somebody the other day was like, basically they broke it down like, hey, they were newer, and they go, it seems like we keep going to these clubs every week, paying them to perform, buying drinks, inviting friends out, because you have to, at that level, you have to, they're called bringers, so you have to bring like X amount of people. And then every week we're making them money, but they're not even considering us to be regulars at the club. They act like we don't even exist. Like I show up the next week, and then it was funny. People in the comment section below were either agreeing with him, like, or they were like, or some of the older bitter comedians were like, well, plenty of people need electricians. Hit the road, buddy. Like there's other occupations, like it or leave. Those people probably secretly run bringer shows, so who knows?
Right. Those are the club owners commenting with burner accounts.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, it's crazy because I don't know. Like, first, I don't know if I could have started comedy in these times, and then like I don't know if I could have started comedy in LA. Like,
dude, I know.
Together, I was like, no, I don't know if I, you know what I mean? 'Cause, like, I started and I met you in San Diego, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, hey, your voice changed a little. Your voice
was a very nurturing environment, that allows you to grow. Like,
hey, Kareem, your voice changed a little bit. Is there something you could do to kind of fix that? I don't know if you tweaked something, or it sounded a little echoey for a second.
Oh no, yeah.
Okay.
Am I better?
Yeah, we're better now. So, you're right. I wouldn't have started like when you started, there wasn't bringer shows. You didn't do any bringer shows.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, there weren't bringer shows, and we didn't have to pay.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Dude, it was the opposite. When I started
to do the packed night.
I know.
We going.
When I started, like in the end of the '80s, the beginning of the '90s, I was like, I think it was. I'm like, well, which was it? Well, it was originally in Fresno. It was the end of the '80s. It was, I started like probably like the end of like '88, and then I did it a lot in '89. And back then, I remember getting paid like pretty much right away at these local. They'd give you like $25, and then and the rooms were pretty busy and packed. I think my first show was the only one that was like, I got dinner. I remember they gave me dinner. First show, dinner. And there was a small crowd. But but after that, it was always like something, I feel like. It was always like, I think I want to say 25. It's probably 30. I think 30 was the standard that I was getting back then. It was like 30.
Right.
And this guy named Mr. EE, that was the name. His name was Mr. EE. And he had a thing called the Comedy Crew. And he already had like members of it. And then he let me be a member of it. And then they would do shows at like drug rehabs and country bars, back to what you said earlier, bowling alleys. All this kind of stuff. Like he set these gigs up. He had flyers. We'd go up to like the different resorts up at the mountains near Fresno, like, Bass Lake, these different places. So I was already getting used to getting like $25, $30, getting paid. And then when I moved to the Bay Area, I started getting booked on real shows. But even when I would do like the open mic, it was always packed back then, but we weren't forced to buy anything. They already had a built-in audience.
Right.
And then, of course, like San Diego, when I met you, is like the Comedy Store. Remember how busy it would be on a Monday? It was like a normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we did the open. The Comedy Store had an open mic, but it wasn't pay. You didn't pay. You just fucking got on at midnight, on a Sunday. But still, it was like a real club. When the people were there, they were in a real audience. Like, you got to learn like in a real environment, so you grew quicker.
Yeah.
I think some of these gigs now.
I think when I did it, I remember. Don't you remember calling in on Mondays at 3? I remember calling in on Mondays at 3. They write down your name.
Well, that's once you became a regular.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to get to be a regular, and that's why I was saying, like, the open mic part allowed you to become a regular a lot quicker. You know what I mean? Because you got good. Like, it didn't take me long before. You would call in and get your spot for the week. But to get to that point was even, not as difficult as how it is now.
Oh yeah, because you're right. Now it's got to be like there was a comic that he used to work at the Comedy and Magic Club as like a server, like behind the scenes, and we became friends. And he moved to Burbank, and so I'm friends with him. And he's like, I think he's like 28 or something. I don't know. He's in his 20s. he says it's just like hell. He goes, I have no idea if I'm even getting better because he goes, every night I'm paying to get on and I'm playing in front of other people that are trying to be comedians. So it's like,
right.
And then a lot of times what makes them laugh, like what those other comedians are doing is they're being extra graphic or extra gross or extra shocking so they can get some kind of reaction. And he's still,
and you don't know how that works with the real audience.
Yeah. And he's coming from the Comedy Magic Club. So he's been watching these great comedians like Seinfeld and just whoever would come through there. And also remember Comedy Magic was a little bit more like they wanted you to kind of work clean so you could get your stuff on whatever. So he reached out to me last week and he's like, I don't know, man. Because he's always going clean. He goes, am I doing the right thing? I think I am. But I go, dude, listen.
Is it Ari?
Yeah. You know Ari? Yeah, it's Ari.
Okay,
yeah, it's Ari.
I'm like, yeah, it just sounds like Ari.
Yeah, shout out to Ari. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I go, in my opinion, since you're already doing the clean thing, I go, keep doing it because you're gonna work way more places. I go, now, however, if you quote unquote make it, you could do whatever you want. You could be Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, all those guys, Dice Clay. You could do it, whatever. But if you don't quite make it to that level, at least on the way up, if you're clean, you could do all kinds of great paying gigs, and you could, it just more doors will open, I think. And I also feel like now with the internet, comedians are told like you could do whatever, there's no rules. So a lot of them are just taking the super easy way out and going super like dirty and hey, but then again, I don't know. Back to my favorite phrase, there's no rhyme or reason.
Right. No,
but that's my opinion.
Like you can find an exception to every rule, but that's a good generality to tell him.
Yeah.
But like the thing that jumped out about that you just said up to all of that was how he said, I don't know if I'm getting better. Like, oh, that pierced me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
That has to be a terrible feeling. Cause like, again, like when we first started, like you could see the growth, like the growth was like palpable. Cause again, you were doing real shows. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I would write down in notebooks. Like I felt like it was a staircase. I'm like, I'm at this level. Then I reach a new plateau. I'm up here now. I know I'm better than I was 3 months ago. This is great.
I can do 15 now.
Yeah, so you start counting how many minutes you go. Oh, if I could do 15, maybe I'll do 20. And then you just feel it. Like the transitions are getting better. Your stand up, like these chunks and hunks and bits are coming together. And it's like,
but I could see doing these fucking open mics all the time, how you could not feel that. Like, you know what I mean? What am I even doing? Like, I mean, that's the thing. Your ultimate goal is to be performing in front of a real crowd. Like, so that's what you got to practice on. Like, you can't practice on comics and then expect to go and kill in front of a real crowd. Like, it's two different things. You know what I mean? So I feel like you're working the wrong muscle. Like, when you work out, all you do is lift with your right. And then when the competition starts, you flex with your left.
Yeah.
It's like, huh? That's not the bump.
I know. I've heard of that. There's like some warehouse that I've heard, or office building I've heard that these people talk about before, where there's like an open mic. This guy rents it out. So it's like, and they have open mics, like the 2 p.m. open mic where there's like 6 comics, and they rent it out they get it from 2 to 3, and then there's like a 3 to 4, then 4 to 5, and that kind of thing. And they said that it's like I think it's 10 comics an hour or whatever it is. They all pay their $5, and you have to stay to support each other. You have to support each other.
Right.
This sounds terrible.
But no crowd. Right.
I know.
Right. Like, yo, you can do that at home.
I know.
You know what I mean? You can go over your material out loud at home and get the same thing than you do doing it in front of 8 other comics.
But some of the advice on that comment section were pretty good. Like some of the people were like, hey, you know what? Forget bringer shows. Here's what you do. Go either rent out a room or find a spot that you can, that they'll give you. And they said, promote your own show and get like some bigger comedians to be on that show. So there's a natural draw to it. Pay those comedians and then stick yourself in there and do like 10 minutes,
No, that's the way to go. I'm like, who was that? Jay Davis?
Exactly. Yeah. Remember Jay Davis? Dude, yeah. For those of you who don't know, Jay Davis was like that. He was a guy that liked comedy. He wanted to be a part. He partnered with Ahmed, another guy who actually was experienced. And then they started booking these shows, and like Dave Chappelle came down, and all of a sudden,
Dane Cook,
yeah, Dane Cook,
Ken, Dr. Ken.
yeah, all these people. So it's like, yeah, that's, but yeah, that's exactly. And then eventually they got better. Hey, there's a couple things I wanted to ask you because we're at the, I know
Winding down. Yeah,
I know you got to go, but I wanted to ask you without picking on anybody, but let's talk about the Olympics because I haven't really been watching it too much, but I saw that is her name Simone Biles?
Oh yeah. That's been an interesting.
Yeah, and I see there's both sides to it. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to pick on her because I don't know what her mental health is, but at the same time,
Well,
yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
At the same time, I was just like, there's that part of me that's like, like when I see like these, like, I don't know. I just feel like like I see like those military commercials. They were showing like how America is now and how it used to be and how Russia is now. And they showed the Russians like getting water dripped on him and he's waking up at 4 a.m. to like, oh, I must train like Drago. And I feel like, oh my gosh. And then I saw she dropped out or whatever. Like, and I was like,
yeah,
oh
no, I mean, okay. So how I think it's a positive thing that we're now addressing the mental health issue. You know what I mean? Because like when we were kids, we're from the generation where that was not addressed. You know what I mean? Like,
if your coach is like, you're on the track and they're like, keep running. And you're like, no.
Right. You can't have any water.
I know, exactly. Right. No water breaks, all that stuff.
Right. We were forced to power through shit. So, that's completely different from this generation. So I'm glad that they're giving mental health the awareness that it needs. But I also feel like there's something about being, I don't know, powering through. You know what I mean? Because like again, Simone Biles dropped out, and she said it was because her mental health issues, and that's cool. Like, I hope she gets whatever kind of like help she needs. But then like that opened the opportunity for the girl Suni Lee. You know what I mean? Like she ended up winning the all around. You know what I mean? And like once Simone Biles dropped out, it was wide open. Like Simone Biles is the best in the world. So like no one knew, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who was going to win this. And this girl, like, to me, like she showed her mental toughness. You know what I mean? Like,
because I remember seeing clips of that. Like that girl with the
it's the same pressure. It's the same Olympics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
She's in the same Olympics that Simone Biles is in, but like she knuckled down, and then like she spoke on how it's been so tough. Like after she won the gold, she's like, there's so many times I wanted to quit, and I was just like, yeah, but she didn't. And look at the, look at the result.
I think what kind of divided people even more with this issue is I think that didn't the New York Times do an article? They were like, she's a hero, and then people were like, if you're there's like the yin and the yang. Then other people are going to be like, whoa, what do you mean she's a hero? Like, what if she got
like,
the gold medal? Then she would have been
Aquaman's the hero.
Yeah. Whoa, what do you mean she's a hero? Like anybody could, like. Whoa,
well, I understand what they're saying though.
Yeah.
Like she's a hero for like addressing the mental health aspect. You know what I mean? For being brave enough to like to speak on that. You know what I mean? And I think the detractors are the ones that are like, looking at hero as far as like the athletic perspective. You know what I mean? They're like, no, you're not a hero. You quit. But the people that are saying you're a hero are like more saying how, she's opening up for people to be able to address mental health issues, which I think is great. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have that when I was growing up. I wish we did. Like I was from the suppressed.
Kareem, clean your room. Mom, I have mental health issues.
Right. Like, no, like I was from the suppressed shit generation.
Yeah.
Like, stop crying. Well, I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah, remember even Tom Hanks in that movie, there's no crying in baseball.
Right. Like, I'm from that generation, but this generation's like, no, cry if you want to. It's healthy. And I'm like, man, I wish someone would have told me that.
I know. I heard that in boxing because I was, sometimes I remember talking to the coaches. They were like, yeah, boxing, you have to, even when you're hurt, you have to act like you're not hurt. Like they shake it off and they make faces at their opponent sometimes. But that kind of is a giveaway. Like, I didn't do shit. I didn't do nothing. But I'm like, oh, maybe that really did hurt them. But
right. Oh, their kidneys bleeding.
Yeah.
But Michael Che got in trouble for talking shit about Simone Biles because, I think that there is comedy in there, but like you have to be really careful about it. And like he went, You remember that doctor something Nasser that like got
Yeah,
convicted for
the
molesting?
creepy gymnast,
Yeah, and
gymnast
like he
doctor.
molested her.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like she accused him of molesting her. So like Michael Che, well, actually he didn't say it, but he had like people posting on his Instagram page, and someone was like, "No one knows Simone Biles better than Dr. Nasser." And then like Michael Che commented like, "Oh, I don't remember specifically, but basically he was like, oh, that's pretty harsh, but I give it a 9 out of 10."
Oh, so I get the humor, just like what Patrice
And
O'Neill.
then he was
Remember,
like,
real quick. Remember, Patrice O'Neill said like, if it's you don't know which way a joke is going to go. Is it going to go left? Is it going to go right? And he goes, if it's coming from a place of trying to get the humor. So I get where Michael Che's coming from. 9 out of 10. It's a gymnast joke. Boom.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, I think there's other ways of being funny about that topic than going to like the sexual assault. Like, I think that's where you can kind of like cross the line.
He also has a huge platform, like he's SNL, and he's probably got
Right.
millions of followers. Honestly, if he wants to be funny and get his comedy out there, but not have anyone see it or react to it, he's got to start paying to go to open mics and have bringer shows.
And it's crazy because he was like, I got like 3 minutes on Simone Biles on the top of my head right now. I'm gonna go down to the cellar tonight and work on it.
Oh God.
He said that. And,
Wow.
and then later on he was like, oh, I was hacked. And I was like, come on. A hacker wouldn't have been like, I'm going down to the cellar.
Yeah. I'm going down to this warehouse from 2 to 3 to try out my 5 minutes. I'm going to pay $6 and
Right. A fucking hacker wouldn't have known about that. You know what I mean? But yeah, so he got a lot of flack for making jokes about her. Like, so it's a touchy subject. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't want to do jokes about it now. Like,
right.
I got a question for you though. Can we do any more Olympic talk? I don't know when this is going up, but I wanted to say I saw a little bit of it last night. I saw the triathlon, and that looked incredible. I mean, imagine biking, running, swimming. Like, damn.
I know. Yeah.
My wife was like, "You could do all those," and I'm like, "Well,
but not good.
Yeah, not good. Exactly. Super. Yeah. I could probably. What could I really do? I could probably run like maybe 5 miles, and I could ride.
But they run a marathon.
Yeah. See, I could. How far
they
could I?
Hundreds of miles. The swimming part. That's the part. Like I could probably run. I know I could bike, but that's swimming. I'm not fucking with that.
I joined the swim team in high school, and I remember to swim with an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and just I remember the first training. I jump in the water, I'm swimming, and then I got to around the halfway mark, and I just started walking, and the guy was blowing his whistle. He's like,
"You could walk?"
Yeah, because that part of it was shallow enough to I could, or maybe it wasn't halfway, but it was at a point where I could walk. I remember walking.
And he still stand up.
Yeah, I could still stand up. And he's like, "What are you doing? You got to swim all the," and I didn't. I was like, "All the way?" He's like, "Yes, all the way." And then I had to build up to that. Like I didn't realize like, oh shit. And then once you build up to it, you do those kick turns, those flip turns under the water.
Oh, right.
But you're right. You have to like work on that,
That's crazy. So was it a 50-meter pool?
I take that back. I don't know if that one was an Olympic-sized pool, because I do remember when we went to Clovis West to compete, that was an Olympic-sized pool. And they actually had like salt water in there. Like you would float better. Ours,
it's crazy.
Yeah, ours was shaped like an L. I remember it was shaped like an L, and I think the L part, like the short part of the L, was where the diving boards were. So that was probably the super deep part, but the other part was probably just for the swimming, like racing and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we had an old pool.
Because there was a girl that won a medal in the Olympics, a swimmer. I want to say she won a gold, but it may have been a silver. But she was like from Alaska, and they were saying how like no swimmers come out of Alaska. Like they were like, there's one Olympic-sized pool in the whole state.
Wow.
And she made the Olympics from that state and then won a medal. Like when she was finishing her race, like they showed, like they got together. I guess it was like at a gym or something in her city, and all her friends were there. And it was just like crazy watching them go nuts. You know what I mean? About this chick from Alaska. Like, Swimming and Alaska just don't.
I know, I know, right? Oh my
They
gosh.
don't go together.
Because we had to do like those 2-a-days where you have to go to like 6 a.m. practice, and then after school practice, and there was a kid on our team. He was a diver, black guy, Denny. I forget his last name, Denny, and I still see him on Facebook. He was a really fast swimmer. So all those swimming jokes that comedians would make, I would always picture Denny, and I'm like, I don't know if it's
That
necessarily
doesn't
true.
make
And I
sense.
was like,
Right. I know a black guy that can swim.
he was great. He was faster than
Right.
everybody. But
Right.
I was only on JV. I never made it to varsity. And then they put me in the my event was a backstroke where you lay on your back and you like look up at the sky. And,
Right. Oh no. I've been watching the swimming now. Like that. Yeah.
That one was
That's
pretty
great.
good. Then you're close to the wall when you see like those flags. You're like, okay, I'm almost to the wall. When you're looking up. But yeah, it was crazy back then. I remember just wearing like the double Speedos. You'd wear the double Speedos because you could go faster. And it was weird too. I remember being in 11th grade, double Speedos. And then when I went out my senior year, I was like, I remember put the double Speedos on. I was like, wow, I'm starting to get hair on my chest. Like it was weird. Like I must have.
Oh wow. And on my nuts.
Exactly. Like
I might have to go to a triple speedo.
a triple speed. But dude, I say that to tell you this. I remember like, dude, it must have been around 20 years ago. We were my wife and I, we were at the apartment complex, and we had like a little gathering over, and I pop on the double Speedos like I used to, right? Because that's the way I was raised. Like like hey, when you swim, you bring goggles and double Speedos, and you swim. And
Right.
I remember somebody there was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, from then on, I was like, "Yeah, I should probably wear like
This is out. Yeah.
yeah, I should. This ain't the '80s. I'm not in high school anymore. This is
Right. They don't do this anymore, obviously.
You're not doing Olympic swimming in the apartment complex swimming pool, dude.
Right.
Plus, you're about 40
Right.
40 pounds heavier than when you competed. It's like
What is doing?
I'm like, there's no rhyme or reason.
That's hilarious.
Oh, quick! I got some questions for you. I know, man, this thing is flying by. Isn't it funny? I called you earlier, and I'm like, I have a couple of ideas, but then boom, once we start going, it's like,
Right. They're like, now we're like an hour later.
I know exactly. We're running the light. We're going overtime. All right, we're gonna have this fade to black at the end for those of you that still listen
Right.
and watch.
For those of you that are still here, watch this.
Watch this, double Speedos. No. All right, Kareem is he knows a lot about sports, and so I thought let me break out a couple of trivia questions. Let's see what you got. I got a question for the audience. What football team is Kareem a major fan of? You guessed it, the Rams. You're a Rams
I'm
fan.
going to training camp today.
I know, and you went to training camp a couple days ago, right? You went down there.
Yeah, the first day. The first day was Wednesday. We went on the first day, and like my friend literally wants to go every day, but like I had a gig last night. So I have a gig tonight too, but we're gonna go. You know what I mean? My gig's not till late, but yeah, we love that shit, man. Like that's how we became friends in college. Was like I was a Ram fan and he was a Ram fan, and like no one were Ram fans back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
what do you do at the Rams? Like, is it where's it? First of all, where's it held at? Where is it?
Well, the training camp is at UC Irvine.
Okay, so and then where do the fans go? Do you guys sit in the stands or bleachers or something and watch them?
They have bleachers set up, but then you can walk around too because they have two fields. Like the teams, they break up into two fields and they have stands like on all four corners of both fields. So you can sit in the stand and just sit there the whole time and watch from both fields, or you can walk around and then literally just stand by wherever the live action's at. You know what I mean? And like you get close enough where they hear you. Like in previous years, they would come up to you and sign stuff and talk to you and take pictures. But now with COVID, like they stay away, but they still stay far enough where when you say something to them, because like my friend was like, "Hey, number 24, welcome back, man." Because like last year he had blew his knee out. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
And he turned around and looked at us like, "Thanks." So like,
oh, that's cool.
I know you get that kind of interaction that you would never get at a game.
You must feel more connected. So when you're watching a real game, like in the fall, it's like, yes, I know number 24. I love that. That's so cool.
Or I even took a picture with him. You know what I mean? Like,
do they ever throw footballs to the audience?
Yes, they do. They do at the end. Again, like last year, they would come up and sign footballs. You know what I mean? But like that with COVID, like because of COVID this time, they stood away and they had like these little footballs. and they threw them into the crowd. Like they probably threw 10 footballs into the crowd after practice.
And you guys get to keep the footballs.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And when you say little footballs, like it's a real football, like you could continue to like play catch with it, or is it just like for?
Yeah, but they were smaller though, like more for kids. You know what I mean? They weren't like NFL sized footballs. They threw like some kid sized footballs into the stand.
When you watch these football players, do you look at them and be like, because you're an athlete, you even played in college basketball, I believe. Do you look at them and think like, oh yeah, these guys, there's a reason they're in the NFL, or do you look like,
oh no doubt,
oh really,
and especially when you go to practice, like you can see how big they are. I mean, like football is different because they're not as tall, so sometimes like I'm taller than a lot of them, but like their legs, you know what I mean? Like you look at their lower body and you're like, fuck. Look at that dude's calves. You know what I mean?
I saw Tyrone Woodley. You know, he's going to fight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him at the boxing gym. And same thing. His legs were like really, that's what impressed me. I was like,
trunk.
Yeah, tree trunks. Yeah, because he's been kicking and like, I was like, that dude, like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no. And like, and then like some of the defensive linemen and the offensive linemen, you're like, oh my God, that dude is huge. Like, that's who we always are. We're like we look at the biggest, like, who the fuck is 96? I mean, like,
yeah.
But then that's how we get to know them. You know what I mean? So once the season starts, it's like, remember that dude from training camp?
I think it was, there was a video going around a couple days ago on ESPN on Instagram. Was it Tom Brady, the quarterback? I think it was Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't real, yo.
Oh, that was fair. Okay, because he was...
That wasn't real. When he threw the ball back into the machine.
Yeah.
That wasn't real, yo.
Okay, because I was like, these guys are so accurate. But they are pretty accurate, right? These quarterbacks?
Yeah, no. Yeah, they are, but that's fucking impossible.
Where he's making it land in between those two things, like
yeah, because that machine shoots it out to you through there. You know what I mean? There's no way you're throwing that back in there.
That was like CGI. Okay, I got some trivia for you. Here we go. All right, here we go. I think this might be too easy, but we'll see. I got 2 trivia questions for you.
Okay.
Before you answer, let's let the audience think for 3 seconds.
Okay.
Rams won the NFL championship representing St. Louis, Cleveland, LA. Which one? Both or all?
Okay, so whenever you're ready for me to answer.
Okay, we're ready.
St. Louis.
Really? You missed... Oh, even I guessed this, but I mean, no, I didn't guess it. Actually, I did guess it. No, I didn't guess it. I thought it was going to be St. Louis and LA, but it was St. Louis, Cleveland, and LA.
No, they haven't won the championship in those cities.
Oh, maybe it says... Well, I Googled it. Maybe this question was wrong. If you Google it, it said St. Louis, they won in 99. No, was it 99 or 49? I can't read my own writing.
Yeah, 99.
It said Cleveland in 1945, and it said LA in 1951.
Okay. That may be possible, but then, okay, they weren't Super Bowls yet then.
Oh, okay. There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, in the 40s, that was like when they were Cleveland, that was the NFL championship.
Oh,
you know
okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And that maybe the 51 one in LA was a football championship, but they've only won one Super Bowl.
Like, oh yeah, that's what it says. Yeah, it says NFL championship representing. Yeah, that's true.
Right. Yeah. So the Super Bowl, they've only won that one in '99 in St. Louis, but they went to the Super Bowl twice as the LA Rams. They went in '79 and lost to the Steelers, and then they went a couple years ago. We lost to the Patriots, and we actually went to that Super Bowl.
Wow.
We were actually at that game. Me and my friend Rod, the one that we're going to training camp today.
What? Who was it? Do you remember who the halftime performers were that year?
Oh fuck.
Or you guys are probably more into the game than you were the halftime.
No,
show.
Because it was funny because that was the year when they were telling everyone not to do it.
Huh.
Like they were telling all the performers not to do the halftime show. It was someone from Atlanta because they brought out some dudes from Outkast, like Big Boy and Andre came out.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember everyone was saying how it sucked. Everyone thought the game sucked, and everyone thought the halftime performance sucked. But it was like being there, it was great. Like, I don't know. The energy live was just so much different than what people were telling me they experienced watching it on TV.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go. Go ahead.
In high school, we had grad night. Like, so when we graduated, a bunch of school buses all went down to Disneyland, and they had two performers, and one of them was that group Wang Chung. Everybody Wang Chung tonight, and the headliner was Bob.
This was in the 80s, clearly.
Yeah, exactly. And then, especially when I tell you who the headliner was. The headliner was Bobby Brown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was up there.
Pretty
My
good, though.
prerogative. Dip your tongue. Yeah, it was so cool.
Wow, he performed at your grad night?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it was at Disneyland though, so he's performing for all these high schools around California. It wasn't just like Fresno.
Your
but,
school, right.
But it was cool. It was like the Wang Chung was like, okay, whatever, But Bobby Brown, that was cool,
No, that is Bobby Brown is huge. That's a big.
And he probably threw in some new edition songs too, like Mr. Telephone Man,
Candy Girl.
Yeah.
Oh my world.
Did you have anyone perform at your high school grad?
No. I think our grad night was at Universal Studios.
Oh, that's cool. But no.
Yeah, and it was like I mean, maybe they do have a performance area, but I just remember everyone just being all scattered around. Like, I feel like it would have been hard to gather us together for a concert.
Yeah, unless they put you in the Gibson Amphitheater that was around back then.
Oh, right. And that's what I was going to say. I do think they probably did have a performance area, but ours was just more, you're in your little clique of people going around doing shit,
Yeah. Okay, back to another trivia question. Rams DE, which I assume means
defensive end.
Yeah. Rams DE coined the term. Okay, which Rams DE coined the term sack?
Deacon Jones.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I was going to be Rosie Greer, Jack Youngblood, Deacon Jones.
There were choices.
Oh, yeah, Aaron Donald.
My bad.
No, it's okay.
I should have waited for the choices.
Yeah, and I even circled it. Deacon Jones, 1960s.
Yeah, no, he was great.
I know these are too easy. I was like, these are too easy. So
actually, that was a good one though.
Oh, was
that
it?
was actually a good one. Yeah, I should have shut up. You could have got people with that one.
Here's one. This isn't really trivia. This is more like commentary.
Okay, now I'm gonna be quiet and let you say the question. I didn't know there was.
This is more like commentary because I was like, I mean, this is too easy. I mean, everyone knows this. How high is a basketball rim?
Oh, 10 feet.
Yeah. So apparently, I don't know the guy's name, but I guess he invented basketball in the year 1891 in Springfield.
James Naismith?
Probably, yeah. And I think so.
With the peach basket.
Yeah, it was 1891. And they said back then the average height of people was 5'6", so it was 5'6". And then
that was how tall the rim was?
No, the rim was 10 feet tall, but the average height of men were 5'6". But maybe they meant white men.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. We hadn't brought guys from Africa over here yet.
Yeah, they're like so. But then there's but check this out. In 1954, the NBA raised it to 12 feet for one game to reduce the dominance of a guy named George
Mikan.
George Mikan. He was a 6'10" legend.
A white dude. He was the first great Laker big man.
Wow. See, I was going to Google him later, and I didn't. So he's a white guy.
Like the Lakers had all the great big men. Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, Shaq. You know what I mean? So he was the first of that line.
Wow. Interesting. Because sometimes I wonder, like, what would happen if the room was taller or shorter or, this and that? Like,
yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how they came up with 10 feet, but that's like the perfect height.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, now we're going to do a couple more trivia. And this is something I thought, I could possibly be wrong. I could possibly be right. I want to ask Kareem 5 trivia questions about country music.
Okay.
All right, let's just see. You never know.
Definitely not going to get these.
You never know, though, because some of this stuff was kind of like out and like, you never know, though. All right, here, let's just go. Because I'm making it a little bit more general and a lot older. So it's like, like I wouldn't know crap about anything that happened in the last 10 years. Okay, but here we go. Who recorded two of his, this is a multiple choice. Who recorded 2 of his best-selling albums in prison? Was it Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, Randy Travis, Merle Haggard?
I'm going to say Johnny Cash.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct. You got that right. I actually missed it. I thought it was Merle Haggard because I remember reading that Merle Haggard was in jail somewhere.
Yeah,
But
now
yeah.
Johnny Cash seemed like a badass.
Yeah, he
He seemed like he was sitting in jail for fun. I'm just in here to write this album.
yeah. Well, I'm Johnny Cash, and just lock me in for 6 months. Yeah, Johnny Cash. He recorded Folsom Prison Blues in Folsom in 1968, and then in 1969 he recorded another album in San Quentin. Like these are live performances. Here we go. Loretta Lynn song inspired a 1980 biographical film with the same name. Loretta Lynn. Okay, was the song called Fist City, Entertainer of the Year, Honky Tonk Heroes, or Coal Miner's Daughter?
Oh, Honky Tonk Hero.
Coal Miner's Daughter.
I was gonna say that, but I thought that was Dolly Parton for some reason.
I know, huh? Coal Miner's Daughter. Hey, I remember seeing that movie. And I remember hearing that song.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, that's too easy. I knew it was either one of the last two. Fuck! I wanted to get them all
because I think you're like old enough to where like, you know what I mean. This stuff was like I think I want to say growing up it would probably be like like on NBC at some point or ABC or something like that. Like it was, it wasn't like now everything is only going to be on like that particular like CMT or but back then things were more blended, like just top 40 songs. You might hear a disco song and then you might hear John Denver or something. You might hear like Kenny Rogers or somebody.
And it's crazy because my mom liked country.
See, yep. Your mom probably.
As a kid, there's some of these country artists that I do remember because of my mom. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because back then it was like she probably liked Ronnie Millsap. He was a blind singer, and and I mean there was all these great guys that were so good. Hey, did you know Ray Charles had breaks all kinds of records for having country albums? Ray Charles,
I did hear that.
Yeah, it's like I mean there's all this stuff. It's okay. Here we go. Right next. Here we go. Who witnessed? Wait, what the hell? Forget it. The answer was Merle Haggard. Basically, he saw Merle Haggard in 1959. He saw Johnny Cash perform, and it inspired him. Merle Haggard was in prison in San Quentin, and he was in the prison band. And then after he saw Johnny Cash, he was like, I could do this for a living. And then, of course, okay. All right, next question. Which Mississippi Delta queen knocked the Beatles off the charts in 1967? Was it Norma Jean, Bobby Gentry, Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline?
Loretta Lynn.
Bobby Gentry. Do you have any idea what Bobby Gentry sings? She sings.
No idea.
She sings.
I'll be stroking. That's what I be doing.
Yeah. Bobby Gentry has a song called "Ode to Billy Joe," and it's they made a movie out of it, and it was number one within 3 weeks of it. It was that song like where about the guy jumping off the Tallahatchie Bridge and Mama do whatever. It was a movie. It was like in the 70s. I remember that. What about here's the last one. Okay, this one I think you could get this one because this was another one they made a movie out of. Okay, Tommy beats up. Okay, there's a guy named Tommy. Tommy turns around, he locks the door, he beats up the Gatlin brothers after they assaulted his woman Becky in which Kenny Rogers song? So Kenny Rogers has a song where this guy's getting bullied, and then one day, I remember the lyric, it goes, "You could have heard a pin drop when Tommy stopped and locked the door."
The Gambler?
Close. Coward of the County. Do you remember that one? Coward of the county. Everyone considered him the coward of the county. It was like this guy getting bullied, and then because his dad went to jail, and before he went to jail, he's like, "Promise me, son, not to do the things I've done. Walk away from trouble when you can. It don't mean you're weak if you turn the other cheek. Son, you don't have to fight to be a man. Everybody, promise." Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's pretty good, Darren.
That was a good one. Thank you. But yeah, that's it, man. Couple of trivia questions. That was fun, and man,
this was a blast.
This was a blast.
Doubled we said we were gonna do.
I know. We're like, let's just keep a tight one, and then it kept going, man. Let's make this.
We'll
make it an all-day podcast. You tell your buddy, "Hey, sorry I missed the training camp, bro. I got caught up on some."
He just texted me like, "What time can we meet?"
I know. I'll let you run. Kareem, you're the best. I always ask I want to make a segment of this. Like I usually call it words of wisdom or life advice. And my friend was like, no, you got to make it more like Pocket Party podcast centric. So maybe call it like, pocket change. Here's my 2 cents on how to change your life or something like that. But is there something you'd like to carry on? I know here's what the thing that I was thinking of. And I'm talking about like, we say common sense, but it's because we've lived a little. Like I was telling my son certain things and I'm like, I just realized he doesn't, like here's one.
That's so common.
Yeah. Like I told my buddy, I said, we were talking about this and he said like, I always carry a pair of sneakers in my trunk because you never know if the car breaks down and you got to go walk somewhere, you never know. You know what I mean? Most of the time, you know what I mean? Just have some backup shoes, things like that. Do you have any words of wisdom or pocket change to change our lives? Something you can...
Well, I always, my thing is always never give up on your dreams. Like that, I know I've probably said that before, but that's I think if you stick to that, you'll be fine. Like never give up because you never know, like when you never know where that finish line is. Like there's that famous painting of both the guys, those miners, and they're both cracking at the wall, and then one of them was walking away, and like literally right on the other side are all the diamonds. It's like that one guy that's about to do that last hit to break through. So it's like that moment you feel like giving up could be the moment right before that big thing was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, never give up on your dreams, man. Famous Amos wasn't always famous.
That's right. I think about Rocky in that quote, like for that movie where he's like, that's right, every day it's one step, one punch, one round at a time. You keep moving forward, one punch, one step, one round at a time. And it's true.
Great. That sounds great.
It's true. It's like I have those moments where you're like, oh, this isn't getting as many views as I wanted, or I'm not getting in with that. Who cares? One step, one punch, one round at a time. Write more jokes, write more, make things better. Just keep going. And people, it'll
eventually catch on.
It'll catch on. Speaking of catch on, go have fun today. Kareem, it was great. Kareem the Dream. It was a dream to have you on. So thank you so much. And I'll see you in the club soon and we'll catch up. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate it.
You got it. Bye.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye. Well, there you go. You made it all the way through. That was fun, right? Let me know that you made it all the way through. Leave a comment somewhere. Comment publicly. Let those public comments happen. I love the DMs. Those are cool too. But the public comment is what helps out algorithm. So please comment below on YouTube, or if you're on my IG, comment on the IG. I love it. You guys are awesome. Have a great day. All right, now, don't hurt nobody. Don't hurt nobody. Be careful.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to The Pocket Party.